Renee. Good morning. Glad to be with you. I'm not up here checking my voicemail, my email. I'm trying to set a timer, make sure I stay on 10 minutes, but I keep fading out. I've learned that you can do just about anything on these, including create your own flashlight and strobe light this weekend. So I wanted to take my few minutes with you this morning to set the stage a little bit further for the rest of the panelists around the whole issue of women and finance, and in particular retirement. I'm an economist by undergraduate degree, but I'm certainly not an economist in my day job. But some of the work that we've done at Wells Fargo is around research, particularly in the area of women in retirement. And we've just recently released some very interesting studies that we did with women between the ages of 20 or the mid-20s up through 69 years old. We did it by decades. And this was squarely in middle-class America, people whose earnings are between $25,000 and $100,000, to try to get a sense of where their perspectives and their concerns and competencies were. And I'm just going to leave this slide up behind me. It's got a lot, very busy slide, so I'm not going to speak to everything on it, but just for you to glance at it as I go through this. The thing that I would say as a woman in particular that is most discouraging is that while women have achieved parity in so many places, from an educational standpoint, 3 out of every 5 college students today is a woman. In many professions, think about doctors, lawyers, accountants, you're just as likely to find half of those in that profession female. But when you get into the financial literacy of women, we are failing, ladies. We are just not where we need to be. We are not engaged in a topic that you just heard Renee mention how it's important to us. 40% of female boomers are single today, as compared to 30% in 1989. Many of us will be on our own when it comes to taking care of ourselves during our working years and also in retirement. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what we found today, and then you're going to hear some issues even within some of those splits around the female gender. And then I think we'll wrap up with Risa maybe giving some suggestions as to what you can do about that. I'm only pushing this because it's quite dark on me. Let me also say that women are underestimating what they need in retirement. When we ask men, what do you think your nest egg needs to be? They said $400,000. Women said $200,000. I can't imagine why that is, especially knowing how women buy shoes. I find that simply, it's got to be because we're not thinking about it. It's not because we're stupid. When we ask women, how much do you think you will need to withdraw from your retirement savings when you actually retire? 30% of women between the ages of 40 and 60 said, I don't really know. I'm not sure. Which says to me, I hadn't thought about it. And women who did estimate it, 30% of them said, I will take out between 11 and 30% or more annually of my retirement savings. Now, do the math. That's probably 4 years worth. And again, I don't think it's because women are not intelligent. It just says we're not thinking about it, and we need to think about it. When we talk about savings, and I think you heard Renee say there is a disparity between women who have access to pension plans and 401ks. Their percentage is lower than that of men. So we are more on our own in terms of having to save for our own retirement and our wherewithal. We're nervous about the market. One of the statistics, and I know with the recent meltdown in the market, particularly younger women have seen their parents really struggling around investments. And so the younger generation is the most conservative around investments at a time in their lives when they should be the most aggressive. They have the longest to ride through market cycles, interest rate cycles, and yet this is not a gender specific. This is actually young men as well are very concerned about putting money into the market. When we ask women, if you had $5,000 that somebody gave you for your retirement, what would you do with it? 40% of these women across this age spectrum said, I'd put it in a bank CD. Now, if you know what interest rates are today, you know what inflation is today, you won't even keep up with the cost of living adjustments if you're in a bank CD. And yet 40% of women say that's what I do with it. They're very uncomfortable in the market. They don't feel educated about the market. So one of the things that I think is so great about this program today is that we're encouraging financial literacy. Women need to get educated, and they need to take responsibility for understanding the economy and understanding the markets. We're the caretakers. We take care of everybody but ourselves. You see that. We saw that particularly in the women in the 40-year-old to 50-year-old generation. We're the most stressed. I've taken care of college-age children. I'm worried about how I'm going to pay for them, and I'm worried about my parents. And they are the ones who cut back the most in terms of saving for retirement and their financial future during this latest economic catastrophe that we've gone through. So they are the most squeezed. And I speak, I'm sure, for a lot of people in the room that we've all been through it. So we talk a lot about needing to have financial plans, needing to have a seat at the table. The other concerning statistic that I'll leave with you today is we ask married women, do you view yourself as a joint decision maker or a primary decision maker? And 83% of married women said, I'm a joint decision maker. So you would hope when we ask the men, that statistic would be similar. But guess what? It's 53%. So somebody isn't showing up the way they think they are at the kitchen table when you're sitting around talking about what are we going to do around our finances. What we think is happening is that women think that when you talk about should we buy a car, should we go on vacation, should we, how much do we have to save for college educations, should we buy a house, that means they're at the table. So that's the day-to-day finances, and I think most of us are there for that. But when you start talking about how much are we saving for retirement, how much do we think we'll need when we retire, how much will we spend on housing, what's the minimum that we need to get by, how much is in your pension plan, my Social Security, women are not in that conversation. That is much more dominated by their male partners. So, the message that we spend a lot of time at Wells Fargo in the women's segment about getting out is show up, learn. Women get very, very, let me check my time here, is very, very concerned. They feel that a lot of the financial advisors in the market are condescending. And I'll share one last interesting statistic. There are huge odds that if you go to seek out a financial advisor in the financial services industry, you will end up with an older white man. And that is because 85%, and I can just speak for Wells Fargo, but I think across all of the major brokerage firms, 85% of our financial advisors are men. Only 1% of them are persons of color, and the average age is 54. So, older white men. And a lot of women find that they speak a different language, that they are condescending, they are not very good at listening. And so, one of the things I would leave you is we need more young women in this business. We need more young women to see financial advisory as a career choice because women need it. So, the message is get educated. There are tools. We have an online site that we just launched called Beyond Today at wellsfargo.com. It is strictly for women. Men can certainly go on the site. We blog. I have a blog on it talking about what are the issues that you're facing in retirement, what are your concerns, and helping to educate women on financial terms and the community of learning about how to take responsibility for yourself. So with that,